How's it going, everybody? It's Eong here with another Metal Gear Survive news update. The following information comes from websites VG247 and Eurogamer, through which more details were shared regarding Konami's upcoming new Metal Gear game. I would like to begin by talking about VG247's article, which begins with a brief description of Metal Gear Survive's gameplay from a Konami representative. He said, "The gameplay is very similar to Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and will have a lot of those aspects for sure, and we're going to add on top of that co-op gameplay in tune with that. Most of the gameplay will be focused on co-op play, so trying out missions with different styles, working with each other to experiment with tactics, that kind of thing. In general, there is a lot of replayability around trying different missions from a progression standpoint, from a tactical standpoint with 3 other friends." After talking about gameplay, the Konami representative had this to say about how Metal Gear Survive fits into the Metal Gear series as a whole, stating the following: "It's a side story, a spin-off, if you will, that takes place in an alternate timeline. We're going to incorporate the whole theme of survival." So there you go, folks. While this is something that a lot of people assumed from the fact that Metal Gear Survive doesn't feature the Solid label, much like Metal Gear Rising, this is the first time Konami stated in an official capacity that Survive is indeed a spin-off. I don't know if this is any consolation for those fans out there who may be upset at Metal Gear Survive, but there you go. The game isn't intended to be taken too seriously. Moving along, I would like to take a look at Eurogamer's article, in which they shared an interview that they had with Konami's brand manager Richard Jones, who had some more things to share about the game. He began with a synopsis of the title, a lot of which will sound familiar, but also adds certain nuances and small little details that may not necessarily be in the game's official description. He had the following to say: "So as you can see from the trailer, Survive is set after the events of Ground Zeroes. The mother base that had been built up during the Peace Walker storyline gets sabotaged from within and destroyed. That all collapses into the sea. Boss and Miller manage to escape, and they go off and have a few adventures, which obviously we all know from the Phantom Pain. Unfortunately, not all of the Mother Base staff get off alive, so some of them are left stranded. But before anything else untimely happens, they end up being pulled through a wormhole. So an unexplained wormhole opens up and pulls the staff, parts of Mother Base, and other items and all sorts of detritus through." He then explained what happens after the player gets sucked into the wormhole, stating, "When your soldier wakes up, they are in a desert landscape, a very foreboding, alien-looking landscape with lots of twisted wreckage and lots of things that have fallen through this wormhole. So you'll find half-formed, half-destroyed structures and all kinds of interesting stuff there. But it's not only the structures that are being pulled through, a lot of staff have also come through. So this is where the co-op comes into this game. You're not alone, there are other people there, and in order for you to survive and in order to be successful, you need to work as a team. In order to do that, you need to work strategically and work to your strengths." The words "work to your strengths" seems to suggest that Metal Gear Survive will feature some form of a class system. Whether players will be choosing a class at the beginning of the game, or if they'll be creating their own through things like weapons and equipment that they acquire throughout their playthrough, is yet to be determined. He then added, "Co-op is only one of the gameplay mechanics. Obviously, Metal Gear is well known for its stealth. That is primarily what makes Metal Gear. There is stealth in it. I know when you're watching the trailer, it's all very action-packed and it doesn't really elicit that feeling, but there will be stealth, and one of the really interesting things that we will be exploring and playing with is how stealth and co-op can actually coexist. We have formed gameplay that kind of allows and enhances that. We're not going into a lot of depth at the moment, but we will, obviously, in the future." Then, when asked for more elaboration on the cooperative stealth nature of the game, Richard replied with, "You've got your co-op, you've got your stealth, and you will have seen what we're calling our massive biological threats in the trailer. Let me assure you, those are just a teaser, just a little taste of some of the things that you will encounter in this new alternate landscape. If you watch the trailer to the end, you'll see a camera pan that kind of elicits a few suggestions, but I won't say more than that." He's probably referring to the final few shots in the trailer that suggest we will be encountering some type of Metal Gear. Richard then talked about how players will be dealing with the zombie-like biological threats, stating, "In order to help you manage these threats, there will be new and alternative weapons. One of the things that Metal Gear is well known for and very good at is giving you a vast array of equipment, from weapons to items to all forms of devices, and allowing you to experiment and use those creatively. And that is part of the fun and part of what makes Metal Gear Metal Gear. It's the creativity around using your weapons and items, and it's something we've looked at and something which we're hoping to build upon with new weapons." A couple such weapons that we saw in the trailer include things like spears and bows and arrows, which are definitely more rustic than the high-tech stuff we saw in Phantom Pain. The article finally concluded with one last paragraph stating that the game will not be full-priced, which is something that I've talked about in one of my previous videos. The paragraph also states that when asked about the timeline of the game's development in relation to Kojima's disappearance, if you will, Konami wasn't willing to talk about that. They did confirm, however, that the game is being developed in Japan, but in terms of who the game director is, they're not willing to talk about that at the moment. And that about concludes all the new Metal Gear Survive information for the day, so with that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts about what Konami has to say about the game. And to be further updated on Metal Gear news, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.